Today, we are going to be talking about how to set your own calories and macros. People have been interested in this, so I'm just going to give you kind of a quick way to do this and get you close to where a starting point might be for you. Remember that with calorie and macro requirements, it's going to differ depending on your age, your activity level, the amount of body fat you currently have, your diet history, and what your ultimate goals in training are going to be, for the foreseeable future. So in this lesson, we'll talk a bit more about weight loss because that's what you guys have been asking for. But keep in mind that you can adjust these for weight gain, for weight maintenance, or for aiming at body composition changes without necessarily being overly concerned about the scale, weight, because we are actually changing out fat for muscle. So if you want more of information on those types of things, just let me know in the comments and I'll get a video together for you. So my experience with flexible dieting was around finding CrossFit and learning that my body needed more than 1,200 calories to perform for my physical health, for my mental health, and realizing that more food is not bad, that I didn't need to earn my food in the gym, that I needed to just feed my body in a way that showed it love, and that with making some small changes, I was able to see much better results, both physically and mentally, with my body, and also became much less obsessed with the scale. So that was super important for me, and this is why it's something that I had done over the years, really learned. Don't feel the need to do it constantly. Again, I learned that approach of what my body needs and can eyeball things at this point, but weighing and measuring is always the best if you're brand new to counting calories and macros and really learning what a serving size is. Particularly if you've had issues with overeating or binge eating type of behaviors. So, simply put, calories are just the foods that we eat, and the macros are just the carbohydrates, fat, and proteins. And so those are foods that we need in larger quantities than anything else. You'll hear about micronutrients, and those are things that we, of course, still need, but in smaller amounts. And we always recommend eating for the rainbow to hit your micronutrient targets. So today, we are talking about how to set your macros for maintenance and then how to adjust them for a weight loss phase. So remember, weight loss is not supposed to be constant. 12 weeks maximum should be the time frame for which you work on weight loss. And then you need to go back into at least maintenance calories, maybe even reverse, let the metabolism heal, let your mindset get back to some normalcy for 6 to 12 weeks. And then if you, for your health, need to lose additional weight, then you would go again. So with my clients, something we focus on is not just about the weight loss. It's about once the weight loss has occurred, it's maintaining that loss over time and not gaining it back. So this is really helpful to prevent the yo-yo dieting if you use the right approach. So we're going to set up your maintenance calories, and I will put some calculations here to the side for you as we go. And the thing that you want to be mindful of is if you have been constantly eating 1,200 calories, then what calculations that you make today are probably going to be much higher, and you may see weight gain if you start eating at that amount. However, you probably need to be doing that. 1,200 calorie diets are for kids, for toddlers that are growing, for humans that are 2 feet tall. So being mindful, unless you are a very petite woman, most women need much more than 1,200 calories. So with that being said, if this is you really would benefit from a reverse diet. And so check out my blog post on that. And if you're interested, schedule a discovery call and we can chat more about what that would entail, okay? For now, let's move on to how you calculate your maintenance calories. Again, this is just a general kind of idea to quickly get you to that answer. Okay, so we're going to take a 150-pound woman and we are going to multiply that by 14, and we're going to get to about 2,100 calories per day. So that person at that current weight is going to be at 2,100 calories per day. If you are more than 50 pounds overweight, you're going to use 10 instead of 14. So for example, if you weigh 250 pounds, we're going to multiply that by 10, and then your intake is going to be about 2,500 calories per day. Do you see why 1,200 calories just isn't enough? Can you lose weight on it? Of course, but it won't be sustainable, and your body is going to get used to those 1,200 calories, and then that weight plateaus. So that's the problem, where people feel like, oh, I was doing so good and now nothing is happening. And that's because your body got used to eating 1,200 calories and it said, okay, no more. So keep that in mind as we go. All right, so from here, you'll do your calorie deficit if that is your goal, working towards weight loss. So for that 2,100 calories per day, I'm going to use that as the example, and I'll share the calculations as we go. So I like to start somewhere between 350 to 500 calories less than maintenance as we start to work on weight loss. In general, I tend to go on the lower side because we still can make really good progress with making a smaller calorie adjustment if we're also making drastic macro adjustments like getting enough protein. Next, we need to calculate the protein amount needed for fat loss, if that's the goal, or for muscle and maintenance growth, okay? So for most people, if fat loss is the goal, or if you're working to maintain your muscle mass over time, or you're building muscle mass, we wanna make sure you're getting at least 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So for this 150 pound person, we're gonna split the difference and do 0.9, and we'll get 135 grams of protein. So once we have that, then we calculate out what we need for fat and carbohydrates. Sometimes it's helpful to use a percentage approach. You really could just throw out some numbers. Again, I think it's helpful to come back to where our lifestyle is at and what's going to work best for us, and not using a one-size-fits-all type of approach. So for that 135 grams of protein, there are 4 calories per gram of protein. So we're going to multiply 135 by 4. We're going to get 540 calories. Protein is typically 30 to 35% of your daily calories, okay? So once we have that, we subtract that 540 calories from 2,100 calories, and we'll have 1,560. So this will cover your carbohydrates and fat. Mix it up however you like. If you are very active with exercise, going a little bit higher carbohydrate and lower fat might be helpful. If you're someone who does not exercise, or you're in that category where you have 50 pounds or more to lose, then doing the opposite and having a little bit higher fat ratio can be helpful. So for example, if you did 200 grams of carbs at 4 calories per gram of carb, you would have about 800 calories there. And then that would lead you to about 760 calories left, which divided by 9 will give you that 84 grams of fat, because there are 9 calories per gram of fat. Now, if you are someone who is more active, then increasing your carbohydrates. So starting at about 250 grams of carbohydrates, which would hit about 1,000 calories. And then that leaves you about 560 calories left for fat. So 62 grams of fat by 9 calories per gram will hit that. And then you have your structured daily plan of 62 grams of fat, 250 grams of carbs, and 135 grams of protein. See how simple that was? Just takes a few minutes. Now, again, remember that this is a rough estimate of where you can have a starting point. And so from here, you have to move forward and make adjustments as needed. So if you were working on weight loss, you would next move into what we would call a calorie deficit. So you would take those 2,100 calories and subtract 350 to 500 per day to aid in a half to 1 pound of fat loss per week. I like to start off with the lower end of at about 350 calories because that allows you to still make progress without being really significant in adjustment of calories. So you're likely able to maintain this longer. Okay. So with that being said, once we cut those calories back, well, what do we do with the macros? So protein always stays the same. So the 135 grams of protein would stay, and then you would have to remove about 350 calories from your carbohydrates and your fat. So depending on if you're doing a higher carbohydrate and lower fat approach, then you'll probably take most of it away from carbohydrates and a little bit from fat. And if you're doing the lower carb, higher fat option, you might take pretty evenly from both of those. So here are some examples. Okay, so if you subtract 350 calories from your maintenance of 2100 calories, you would keep that protein the same at 135. You could adjust the carbohydrates. So if you were a higher fat, lower carb ratio, then you could adjust the carbohydrates down to 150 grams per day, saving you about 200 calories. And then you could adjust the fat from 84 to 68. And then that would hit your 350 calorie deficit. So wherever you choose to begin, make a plan and start tracking. Use these numbers and track how your body does for 2 weeks. If your body weight stays the same for 2 weeks and you do not see other changes going on, like your weights are improving, your lifting weights are improving, or you're seeing some body composition changes, then keep maintaining that for a little bit and follow to see where you go for another 2 weeks. If at that 2 weeks you're gaining weight or you're not seeing any other improvements, then go ahead and go down another 250, 300 calories and reassess in a week or two. If you are immediately beginning to lose a half to 1 pound per week, then just keep on trucking at this calorie intake. And again, monitor how you are feeling overall. We always recommend monitoring biofeedback. So that means monitoring how your sleep, stress levels, energy levels, your muscle soreness, how all of that is feeling, because that is the most important part. And make sure you're taking progress photos. The scale is not the end all be all. You need to take photos of your body. You need to be mindful of what you're doing in the gym and put that whole picture together as you work on weight loss. So working with a coach can help you to fine tune this process, have a little bit more concrete starting point. They can help you move through the weight loss, maintenance, reverse, or gain phases, and they help you from jumping ship too early. So making it 1 week or 2 week and not seeing the results you want and then just jumping ship. So that's where we come in. This is what we specialize in. So come check us out over on the website and schedule a discovery call and see if we are a good fit.